Hey,
Hey Joe, how are you?
I'm good, Lars. How are you?
I'm doing well.
It's
I,
so good to see you.
you too. I see you have the fire going.
I do. And I've been adjusting this for the past 10 minutes. And I think I got it where, you can see it somewhat. How is the picture for you? Can you see me at all? Is it dark?
Oh, it's good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It is really good to see you. I can't tell you. I mean, I'm actually super excited. Probably way more excited than I'll be for a long time. So it's good to sit here and get to have a fireside chat with you. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad that you started this series off. I'm excited for today, but then, for where this goes from here.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for that. So I have my version of how I'm going to introduce you. Do you want to hear what I have here?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so I've got Dr. Lars Brudvig. Do you
hmm
pronounce it Brudvig?
That's how I pronounce it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with how you. So you run the Brudvig Lab at
hmm
MSU, Michigan State, not to be confused with any other MSUs. And you're a plant restoration slash landscape ecologist. You are all around good person who values people and plays vinyl records. Accurate? I think I nailed it.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
the records part is true at least.
Okay. I think the rest is probably accurate too. So, if we can just start with, I mean, I want to start just, I would love to just chat and ignore like any schedule whatsoever, because I'm really excited to have you. But if we could start with you just telling a bit about yourself, what you do, uh,
hmm
and how you got into what you do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so like you said, Joe, I'm a plant ecologist. A lot of what we work on is restoration ecology, figuring out how we can restore damaged ecosystems, repair them. So I guess the roots in that area for me go back to after I finished undergraduate. I had this really amazing experience at a research station in Florida called the Archbold Biological Station. So I
Okay.
worked in Eric Menge's lab there doing plant ecology, conservation biology, fire ecology, and it was just tremendously eye-opening and inspiring. From there, I was fortunate to go off to graduate school at Iowa State, and something that was really exciting to me about the project I worked on was that this group, the lab group that I joined, was about to start a large oak savanna restoration experiment in central Iowa. They sort of had a broad brush vision for it, but not a specific plan. And so the person who became my advisor subsequently said, "Hey, if you want to join the lab, you can have this project, and you can run this show and call the shots." And that was really exciting to me. I was really sort of yeah, just excited about the idea of being able to have the ability to make decisions, make mistakes, learn from mistakes and decisions, and really sort of learn by doing in graduate school. And that's something I valued then, I still value to this day. Um, yeah, so I finished up graduate school studying the process or part of the process of restoring fire suppressed oak savannas that had been encroached. And I was realizing like I really got a lot out of that, but I was really realizing the importance and need to consider restoration ecology at a landscape scale. And there are these amazing individual efforts going on that were all sort of like little pieces to a puzzle, but that bigger puzzle sort of needed to get put together to understand how those pieces were working with each other or could best work with each other. So I was recognizing the importance of coupling restoration ecology with landscape ecology. That took me to a postdoc in South Carolina on a project that's a habitat fragmentation experiment with conservation corridors, working with some incredible people like Nick Haddad and Ellen Damshin, who I still work with to this day. So I was there for a few years before coming to Michigan State. Let's see, over 10 years ago now. I've been here over a decade, in the Department of Plant Biology, where I get to work with amazing colleagues, ranging from undergraduates up to other faculty members at the university and beyond.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations for making it post-decade. That's pretty impressive. That's cool. It sounds like you've moved around quite a bit in the work that you have done, at least getting to the PhD level and everything. And now you're there for 10 years. How is it to just be in one place for that long after moving around? I know that's something people who are, maybe looking to get their PhD or their master's or whatever, they look, like, well, where do I want to go? And then the postdoc, that's a whole nother thing, where, I'll take whatever I can get, to maybe they narrowed it down to one or two. So can you talk a bit about kind of what that's like to do that part, and then now to have finally be in a, stable and, single location?
Yeah, so I've enjoyed them both. The actual process of moving is not always incredible, but I've really valued the opportunity to see new places and interact with new people. That's been incredible. It's also been really amazing to be able to, kind of put down some roots and be in one place and really get to know what that place is about.
Yeah.
Set up, for example, research projects that run, we have some that have been running for over 10 years now, and to be able to go back to these same places over and over again and really sort of hopefully get to know them well, get to know the natural history and the ecology and all the quirks about those areas, and the really neat plants and so on that live within them, has been a really neat opportunity. And with that, the ability to do long-running research experiments and studies, I think, is really valuable from a research perspective. We kind of like learn and learn and learn, and there's real value to those longer running research projects.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, no, that's really cool. And absolutely, if you're studying, microclimates, you might get away with, wherever you are, you can probably find that kind of niche, But yeah, as a landscape ecologist, some stability in one location, that's definitely valuable. That's so neat. So these the projects that have been these long-term projects over 10 years. So are some of those, did you start, or did you come in and kind of inherit already existing?
Some of both, yeah. So we have a new oak savanna restoration experiment, new in the sense that it's new relative to my PhD work, but it's at an MSU property called the McCready Reserve that's about an hour south of our campus here in Michigan. And so that's an experiment where we've been able to work with land managers at the university to reintroduce fire to the system. In some plots, we couple that with mechanical clearing of trees and shrubs that had invaded over a long period of fire suppression. We get to have the luxury of unmanipulated controls in a land management and restoration experiment. And that's been running for, over 10 years now. And that's one that I started with Doug Landis when I got to MSU. Other experiments, long-running experiments, I've had the opportunity to join in more midstream. So one example of that would be the Corridor Project experiment that I joined as a postdoc and have been fortunate to be involved with ever since. And that experiment's been running for over 20 years now. And amazingly, we continue to learn new things every single year, even multiple decades into that experiment.
That is really cool. No, that's awesome. What else? Is there a specific part of what you're doing currently, one of the projects or one of the projects that one of the students you work with, or is there something that you kind of like to highlight or speak about right
now? So many answers to that one.
That wasn't an easy one.
But I'll point to one area that I'm excited about, and it's the idea of developing the ability to forecast in ecology.
Okay.
To essentially predict the future. And this is this sort of emerging area in ecological research where Just like in weather forecasting, we want to know what tomorrow will bring, what next week will bring, what next year will bring. I think it's fascinating both from kind of a fundamental perspective. It's like a real test of how well we understand ecological systems to be able to make those sort of predictions and then check to see how right or wrong we are and for what reasons. But there's also important applications to that. So from the work that I do in restoration ecology, I think it would be tremendously valuable to be able to go out to a plot of land, even before restoration efforts might start, and be able to predict with some level of certainty how that restoration project will turn out 5 years, 10 years in the future, given the conditions at the site and the restoration plan that will be put in place there. Yeah, so forecasting and restoration, I'm really excited about. We've written about it some in our group, kind of more conceptually, but we're also now starting to develop some empirical research where we're taking data sets that we have in hand and sort of putting ourselves backwards in time and saying, okay, well, let's kind of like pretend that we're at the beginning of this data series. And can we go through that process of predicting what it'll look like for various metrics that we have in the data next year? And then we check and we revise the models and we kind of iterate that way going forward.
Oh, I'm being attacked by my dog. Sorry. That was unexpected. Okay. Modeling is fascinating to me, and it's something I have no experience with. I live in the here and now, and that's all I can do. But it's fascinating, and I know a couple people that do that. To have that predictive power, that's powerful. I mean, you can literally have a plan if obviously through empirical data, and you have proved that. It's pretty neat to be able to give that to the hands of land managers. I mean, it's very applicable to industry as well. Sorry, my dog's getting all in my lap here, so I'm gonna try.
Not a problem, Joe. Not a problem. And I guess I would just reflect on that in a couple of ways. I'm not a modeler either. I'm a field biologist, but I'm fortunate to work with some people that are pretty slick on the modeling front.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that it kind of points to the value and fun of collaborating.
Yeah.
And I'd also say, like, I totally agree with you about that applied relevance. It's going to take some work to get there. I think we're not going to. I think that the first set of forecasting models that we might develop for some effort, like for example, again, to predict the ways that restored ecosystems might turn out, are going to be pretty bad. And I think that that's maybe part of the reason why we're just getting into ecological forecasting as as a collective field. It's kind of a scary thing in a way, just to see how bad those first models might be. But I guess my feeling is we have to start somewhere, and by starting, we can go through that iterative process of checking where the errors are in the model, how those propagate, and then revising from there. And that's how things will improve.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And yeah, you definitely touched on that, for one, the collaborative spirit. I love that. And it's something that not everybody has, but when you have it and you get to work with teams, it can be a challenge, but it's also so rewarding. I mean, diversity of thought and diversity of people in general, but just being able to, have that shared space and work in it is really cool. However, like you said, to get to that applied part, that's a big leap, because you're not dealing with just pure academics. You're not dealing with, people who necessarily are for it all the time. And so that's like a whole nother issue whenever you couple that with maybe inconsistency in modeling, or kind of not getting the predicted results that you were predicting. So definitely some challenges there, but it sounds like you're keen on addressing that and tackling it, and that's cool. It's not science isn't that one shot. It's the stacked efforts, filtering through. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you shared with us how you got to where you are, kind of what you do, what you're looking forward to. Can I ask you some of the questions that I sent you now? Have kind of
Yeah.
a blitz of some questions here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh, easy there. I don't think I sent you any that are like, um, gonna cause any pain or anything like that, right? You feel good? I didn't lead you astray. Okay.
Nope.
So first, this is honestly probably the hardest question for me to answer. Okay. And I'm gonna start with that one. You ready?
Okay.
What's your favorite tree?
That is a hard one.
Yeah.
And I think any question where you ask me what my favorite is going to be a hard one. So I'm gonna rephrase this a little bit to what is a favorite tree of mine, if that's fair enough.
Fair enough. And absolutely, there's shades of favorites for sure, and there's like geographical favorites, and then there's deciduous favorites. So you rephrase however you want. It's all yours.
I'll go with longleaf pine. I love longleaf pine. It is just the coolest tree, so amazingly fire adapted from the grass stage as a seedling all the way up to these, majestic and long-lived overstory trees living centuries. The tree itself is fantastic and really cool, but so are the ecosystems that it helps to form. These amazing longleaf pine ecosystems all across the Southeast that have tremendous diversity of all kinds of different species. Of course, I love the plants, and the plants themselves that live in the understories of longleaf pine. Forests, woodlands, and savannas are they're just remarkable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that one too. It's one of my favorites. How about in the region you live in right now? Do you have one that you'd like to speak to? You've posted some, and like with the hashtag barking up a tree, I've definitely gotten a flavor of some of the trees that you have up there, and it's so cool. I can never get any of them. Obviously, I don't have them, and I haven't had exposure to them, but I love seeing them. So, speak to a favorite of a tree that you have up there.
There we go. Yeah, I'll go with white oak.
All right.
A lot of the same reasons of for longleaf pine. It's just this cool tree that can live a long time. It's really majestic, beautiful bark. But again, like the ecosystems that it helps to form are just so cool, from oak forest through woodlands and savannas. I love them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It certainly sounds like you chose trees that are like a restoration ecologist's dream. I mean, you literally have to burn things or remove a lot of things, and then it takes care of itself. Obviously you have invasives and all that stuff to fight against, but yeah, you chose the survivor trees that grow into beautiful giants.
I like those words.
I say them often. They just kind of come. Okay, so how about another tough one? What is your favorite fireside food and beverage?
I do enjoy a good hoppy IPA.
Okay, yeah.
And I could put that next to the fireside very easily. So what would go with that? Some sort of salty snack. How about we'll go with like some good pretzels? How does that sound?
Hey, that's a classic treat. I like that. All right. Okay, let me think. How about this? This isn't on the list. I'm going off script, okay? What is your favorite fireside location? Would you like indoor fireplace, or are you thinking beach? There's endless varieties.
There sure are. Yeah, I'll go with something outside, and if something in the woods, next to a campsite in the woods.
Yeah.
I don't have a specific location in mind, but those combination of things sound pretty good to me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Me too, by the way. Okay. And that, I mean, frankly, that's what spurred this whole thing. Fireside chats. I mean, like, I've had several people message or comment even just about uh, missing that, or we used to have that, and I think also we used to have it in childhood for some of us, or at maybe as teenagers or at whatever stages that we did that, and then of course the pandemic and stuff has shut a lot of that down as well. But yeah, I love just being able to sit and talk about fire and then think about people around those fires. So this is great. Thanks for that, Lars. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see, where are we at on time? Oh, we're okay. So even though you've already talked about the things that you do, is there something that you haven't talked about yet that maybe you want to really reiterate about your research, or the importance of, or what's like a takeaway that you really want to make sure people get about what you do?
Yeah. So this gets, I guess, at the question of, like, kind of what motivates, doing the sort of research I do. And I love being outside. I love natural areas. The decline of kind of intact natural areas is really disturbing and distressing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sort of bad news on that front, and something that excites me about restoration ecology and keeps me excited about that field is the potential to bring good news to the table. The potential to take these declines, and there's all kinds of different sorts of specifics associated with declines, but declining, species fill in the blank, and not only stabilize those declines, but start to move them in the other direction. Start to increase populations of species we care about, increase the area of ecosystems that we want to promote, and so on and so forth. And there's so many ways to think about that problem. And so, there's so much work to be done. Another thing I love about restoration ecology is that it's sort of the synthesis of all the other ecologies. And we can add to that too: population genetics, evolution, coupling of social and ecological systems. The list is really long, and it's the application of all that. And so it's really endlessly fascinating from a science perspective, where it's so amazing to be able to work with these really cool ideas and put them into practice and have so much variety in the sorts of conceptual domains that I get to stick my toes into.
Yeah, no, that's all spoken like a true restoration ecologist. That's awesome. Beautiful. I love it. I mean, I know that, there are certain fields that it's not going to be that way, because a lot of stuff is doom and gloom. But the beauty of being able to work with restoring things, I mean, your job is literally to find out ways to improve it. And it sounds like you've got ideas for that. And that's really hopeful. I love the hope and inspirational messages that you can bring. I might only book restoration ecologists for the rest of this. We won't learn as much, but we'll all feel better about whatever we're doing. Okay, so we're getting close to time, so I'm gonna maybe go to a couple of others.
Sure.
This is a little bit of a different direction. Who has been most influential in your life, whether it's professionally, personally, or both?
Yeah, let's go professionally. And I guess I'll point to two people who I mentioned before, Nick Haddad and Ellen Damshin, who have been my long-term collaborators now. They were both mentors of mine while I was a postdoc. And, they're both amazing scientists. I've learned so much from them about how to think about science, how to frame problems, how to develop conceptual expectations, how to carry out really amazing, rigorous research. But they're also really great people. And, I think that's so important. And seeing models of highly successful professionals who are also really genuinely amazing people is so important, and something that, I can then take and try to model myself based off of incredible examples.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like that. Um, Here's one. So, if you weren't a restoration ecologist, what would Lars Brudvig be?
Yeah. I don't know. Some of this, some dreams take talent, which I don't have.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that.
but I do love music. So maybe let's just dream and put the talent issue aside. Yeah, I love listening to music. I love playing music. So let's just dream big and say I would be a musician. I would be playing drums in a rock and roll band
I
somewhere.
love it. That's
That
awesome.
would, that would be fantastic.
Either way, you've got messages of hope and inspiration, Lars, and I love it. Okay, so we'll kind of wind down a little bit. I was going to ask your hobbies, but you do play. Do you play drums? I mean, is that what you do play, or do you play a variety?
I play drums best of anything.
Okay, all right.
The drum set doesn't get out as much as it used to anymore, but it still does occasionally.
No, that's great. I don't get out as much as I used to anymore, but occasionally. Okay, so if people want to reach out to you, because I know you probably, I mean, I know you get questions all the time, anyways. But if anybody has any, desire from this to ask you questions further or reach out to you, what's the best way that they could do that?
Yeah, they're welcome to connect over Twitter. I think that would be a good way.
Yep.
My handle is at Lars_Brudvig, and they'd be welcome to tweet at me, direct message me, or whatever works for them.
Yeah, that's great. And I will attest to that. Lars is extremely accommodating and welcoming. So, I definitely encourage anybody to reach out. And if they want to learn more or know anything else about Lars Brudvig. So I'm gonna post this. I'll definitely link you on everything, especially obviously on Twitter. Hopefully I know people will find a lot of good out of this, and I really appreciate you being my guinea pig for this project, and I think it's going to bring a lot of value and that sense of community. Like we're all friends on Twitter, whatever that means, and it's really cool to maybe feel more like friends in real life.
Absolutely, Joe. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this. I had a great time talking with you today, and I'm really excited and look forward to the future Fireside Chats with Joe Buck in Nature.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks, Lars. And I definitely want to have you back on at some point. We'll see who comes up next. And at some point, you cool with coming back on?
Anytime you'd have me.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Lars. I'll reach out to you later and we'll discuss things. Until then, I'll see you later.
Take care, Joe.
All right. Bye.
Bye.